estimated 140 million girls and women around the globe have undergone circumcision. Millions of children as young as 5 have undergone the ritual, which sometimes affects their health. The practice is found in Africa, Asia, and Cameroon. Is just everywhere, and it's so difficult to end the practice. And today we're talking about female genital mutilation. Why is it so difficult to eradicate the practice around the world, and Cameroon are left out? The program is Turn Up, a program that seeks to empower women and the girl child. We'll be right back. It's always good to know you're watching the program Turn Up on Canal The English, and today we focus on female genital mutilation, and I have wonderful guests for you in the studio. But before we get to discover who our guests are, if you want to participate on today's program, you can write to us on the number you're seeing on your TV screens. You can equally tag us on our Facebook page. You just need to type Turn Up Canal The English. I have the past editions. You can equally get us on YouTube. Now, before we get to know some of the reports of what we have as package for you, I want us to discover who our guests are. I'll begin with the person that is very close to me, Aluma Frida. Welcome to Turn Up.
Thank you, Madam Maureen. Thank you, dear listeners out there. I believe my presence here will impact more on you, and we believe that you will listen to us and give ears to us this evening.
People are not listening to you, but actually watching you. It's a live program that comes up every day at 7 p.m. A Wednesday. It's live. We broadcast live from Douala, Cameroon. Now, how's your day today?
My day
was it a quite challenging day as a woman?
Yeah.
You know, I just love asking the question.
Thank you. My day was really good, but even though it was difficult because I had some challenges on my job site, but I had to
overcome them. Challenges because you're a woman, and or just normal challenges.
Challenges because I'm a woman. I need to handle some certain aspects at home and both at my job site. So it was quite challenging.
All right, but at least you struggled to make it a loving day at the end of the day. Now we have another lady in the studio. She's a regular figure. She's called Kowong Patricia. She's a barrister at law. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, dear listeners.
It's not the first time we're having you on Canada English.
Yeah, that's true. I'm quite regular, and I still will be more regular.
All right.
Anytime you want me. And if people, you know, we are here to impart, especially the women and the girl child. We are trying, and we try and believing that our presence here, my time I take especially to come here, is to see how I can contribute to impact the girl child and the woman as a whole.
All right. Now I want us to talk a little bit about you, because you have been busy doing a lot to empower women. You're just from the north region of Cameroon, where you spent most of your time talking to the women, talking to young girls. How was it like in the north?
Maureen, to be candid, it was a very pleasant surprise, because I went to the far north not really knowing what to expect. I organized the forum, a national forum on marriage especially, and the family, and my focus was on the youth. And I can tell you, I was surprised to have, for 2 full days, a full hall of at least 350 young people in attendance every day in Marwa. And I think it was something
Which means you were so like interested in the topic?
They were so interested, they were participative, and they contributed a lot. I could see young, dynamic Cameroonians on contrary to what they believe down south is. You know, I saw children who were very enthusiastic, who knew what they wanted, and who were ready to take their own future into their hands.
Now, your most recent publication is this. Maybe a cameraman can help us so that our viewers can know what I'm talking about. This is your most recent publication. It's about a woman, a mystery of hidden power. Now, what's it all about?
A woman, a mystery of hidden power, as the name entails. You can read the first part of it. When nobility, character, dignity, and all those is beauty are combined in one. You see, the woman symbolizes all of this. You know, the beauty of a woman is an added something, value that God added in order to bring her, to make a woman to function the way God wanted the woman to function. It's not about the physical beauty. And this book is to help let the woman know we were created for greatness. God created the woman for greatness. You see, there's a place in the book where I talk about why did the men of old oppress women so much? Is it because they knew the women had something so special in them? This one, the woman, a mystery of hidden power. The woman herself has to know who she is. She has to know what she carries. She has to know that, like Dr. Fon says, she's a volcano, bubbling. You know, you are moving on the ground, on the earth, and you don't know that down there there's movement, there's hot magma. That is who the woman is. She carries a lot in her.
Right.
I don't want to divulge everything that is in the book because I would like everybody to grab a copy. The launching of this book is going to be on the 5th in Douala, 5th of March, 2018 at the Sade Fete.
And just to tell, make our audience that we are going to be in the week, that's the week dedicated for women.
Oh, the Women's Week, the
All
Women's, International Women's Day activities start from the 1st because the delegate will be launching the activities on the 1st. So on the 5th, this will be part of the activities, and all the women, and not only women. Some people will think that it's addressed to the women. It's not addressed only to the women. You see, the man cannot function without a woman, just like a woman cannot function without a man. So if we can both understand ourselves, it will be better.
So it's a blend.
It's a blend, and we must function together. There's no way one can live without the other. So we have to sync this message. This message has to be passed across over and over. Men know that you cannot live without the woman, and the woman know you cannot live without the man. We are bound, we are forced, we are obliged to live together in unity, in harmony.
All right. Today we are here to talk about female genital mutilation. Now, before we start talking or give in-depth analysis on what female genital mutilation is all about, I want also watch this report which defines female genital mutilation. We'll be right back.
Female genital mutilation affects at least 200 million women globally. That is the equivalent of the population of the UK and France. FGM is the cutting and removal of parts of the female genitalia. Mammy gives birth to a baby girl. She names her Mary. Mary undergoes FGM at the age of 2. The procedure has no health benefits, but can cause serious health complications and can even lead to death. FGM was banned in Senegal in 1999. But despite the ban, it still takes place. It causes extreme pain and has severe health consequences, including difficulties during childbirth. Girls are cut in unsanitary conditions with unsterilized equipment and without anesthesia. Mary is now a teenager. Girls and women who underwent FGM can experience severe menstrual pain and infections. Mary is married now. One of the consequences of FGM can be intense pain during intercourse. Mary almost died while giving birth. The complications associated with FGM can stay with a woman throughout her life. Mary survived and had a baby girl. She named her Fatoumata.
Welcome back in the studio. I'm accompanied by a wonderful women, and we are talking about female genital mutilation. You can see the number on your TV screens. You can send your reactions to the number you're seeing on your TV screen. Now, after watching that report, what's the first feeling you had?
Well, I felt a lot of pain. I can imagine what they are going through. Girls are going through by female genital mutilation. And when we talk of female genital mutilation, most of us out there, we don't know the meaning. And as we are talking, female genital mutilation is also known as female genital circumcision, as most of us we call it, or female genital cutting. It is when a female child is put to birth between 0 to 5 years, as others they decide to do it. It's like they cut the clitoris of a girl child. Either it is in a, we have 4 different methods. The first method is cutting only the clitoris, and the second one is cutting the clitoris and the labia, that is the lips. Then the third is not only cutting, but they like sew to reduce the entrance of the female genital organ.
So it's a horrible experience that
it's not really easy.
Most women are going through.
Yeah.
Now, if I have to ask, when you look at society, have you seen a victim of this female genital mutilation? Have you seen somebody who's a victim? Have you had a friend? Have you had an auntie or a friend's friend who has been a victim of female genital mutilation?
Yeah, I've learned of it, and I once had a friend that had that female genital mutilation. At times, she would not like expose some certain things, some aspect. Like when I was in school, we had one novice. It's a northerner. She came. We were like going to take baths together, but she was not like feeling comfortable. So when I would like go deeply and ask, she told me she once had this female genital mutilation, and she felt a lot of pain. And since then, she has never been herself. She always feel a type when we are together, or when we are together with friends.
Was she married?
Not yet
she
married.
Was still single.
She was still
but
single.
At that point, did she have a boyfriend? Was she into like any relationship, or did she tell you if maybe she was lukewarm on having any relationship?
She never had a relationship by then, but I don't know how far she has gone today, because I had to discover her, and then I just asked her to take it that way. Maybe it's their own tradition.
She told you it's a tradition. Now, barrister, when we look at society today, is the phenomenon increasing or decreasing?
I think I would say here that I think it's decreasing. Because over the years, there's been a lot of sensitization, there's been a lot of education, and I believe that it's producing results. And as I say, as the name entails, mutilation, it means something is being cut off. When you mutilate, you can imagine the word itself sounds very barbaric, you understand? Cutting off something from somebody. I believe the body is sacred. Everything that God created is sacred. No matter how he created it, that's why we ask people, the way you were created by your creator, take yourself that way. Don't add, don't subtract. So I don't know where the so-called tradition came from.
Where it came from, where it started.
Why?
Where it originated. People tell that it started
yes.
from their grandparents, great-grandparents that did it, and we too do it.
Okay, that is where the danger comes from, because something that is tradition, and people always tell you, it has been handed down to us. And the question I keep asking is, it's been handed down to you over the years. How has it benefited you? Because when you want to analyze the situation, ask yourself, how do I benefit? If it doesn't benefit, you know that that tradition is repugnant. It is obsolete. It has no place. You know, so the fact that he has not helped, you see, I think people mostly do it without delving into the subject matter out of vengeance. Like women who
So you see it as some sort of vengeance?
Yes, like let me do what
and
was done to me.
Yes,
yes, what was done to me, because violence perpetrates violence. What you get, you try to give it back to other people. So on the one hand, it is like, okay, let others feel what I also felt, you know. And secondly, is that, oh, how would my community see me? You see, one of my objectives is to, like, educate women. It is said when you educate a woman, you educate a nation. So if women, more and more women are educated, to tell them about all the ills, the disadvantages, like you say, medically, many die from infections caused during this, during the recovery. Some die from bleeding. If they have a bleeding problem and they are mutilated, they're circumcised, which means they cut off part of the skin, they can bleed to death. And without talking about the other complications that come much after, maybe at marriage and childbirth, and the part that we know about, that you become insensitive, because part of the whatever they cut off is a part that makes somebody sensitive or sensual, or that during sexual intercourse, you understand. So those things are the motivating factor, without mentioning the other part that is economic. Because we have the economic aspect.
We'll come to the economic aspect. But the question I keep on asking myself is, an old woman who has gone through that same practice, she felt the pain, she saw all the disadvantages. Why would she practice it on her own daughter, on her own granddaughter? Do you see it as some sort of vengeance, or how do you see it?
If I can see,
Is it just the tradition you're respecting, or there's something more to that?
there are some tribes that they respect tradition, they honor tradition. So they just believe that as it's a tradition that we must do it. So they are just doing it. Yeah.
Because it's so, we see it in some tribes, like in the southwest region, in the northwest region, there are certain tribes that are recognized and known for doing such barbaric, let me put it that way, practices. We know of the Bayangis in the southwest regions, and also in the northwest regions we have the Kusiri. Why are these people so attached to this tradition, Barrister?
Good question. You see, every ceremony has something that motivates it. And it is almost like an initiation ceremony. Because it's not just something that they just take one person and cut. There's something that they always just do. They do a ceremony, and then after the ceremony, they have rites that they perform. And everything that has rites behind, have spirits behind them. To call it the way it should be called. Because you cannot imagine that something that caused you pain. Because I believe that what was so painful to me, if I went through it, I would not like another person to go through it. As we say, don't do to somebody what you don't like to be done to you. If you don't like something to be done to you, don't do it to another person. So since you didn't like it when they did it to you, why let some other person go through it? So the motivating force is the whole atmosphere, the spirit behind female circumcision. There's a spirit behind it. You know, it is not, even the male circumcision, there's a problem with it today. And you still see why the thing is still continuing. Because they believe that this circumcision purifies, cleanses, or does something that makes a person of status. It gives you a particular status in society.
But when you see the person dying, when somebody's life is ending there, or when you see somebody dying, can't you give you the urge, or give you that, tell you to stop what is happening?
It's justified. What happened is that when somebody dies, they have a way to justify the death. They don't see it, like the way you and I will see it.
Okay.
Which means they're not remorseful. They don't see that human being, the life that has been lost. They just know, okay, it means maybe this person had some evil spirits. You understand?
Right.
There was something behind it that caused the death. So at times they just brush over it and the person's story ends. But we are trying to let them understand, as we say, it has to pass through education. The first question you ask, is it on the increase or is it decreasing? I believe, and very much so, that it's decreasing. Because we had tribes in the Northwest. I don't know of any tribe that does it in the Northwest. I grew up in the Northwest. I come from the Northwest. In fact, we just grew up to hear these things. But we know that in the Southwest, in the far North, there are places.
And even in other African countries, we still have this practice.
We still have some, but to be candid, I think the international organization, the Ministry of Women's Empowerment and the Family, over the years, we have to really tell them that bravo, because they've done a good job. They're going around, they're doing, even right to the chiefs and the local, the elders in the village. They've been able to educate them until the practice is actually dying out.
Because there's nothing the women are profiting from it. Yeah.
And to add more flesh on what she's saying, at times they believe that when they do that circumcision, a girl child will remain virgin. On their wedding days like that, they will get married still virgins. Yeah, that's
Right.
one aspect of it.
All right. And I want us to watch this report, their testimonies of young girls who went through the barbaric practice. Let's watch this report. We'll be right back.
Very early in the morning, my mom just came to my door knocking. Say, Stella, 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 come outside, come and see something. I said, Mommy, what is it now? He said, come, come, come.
They called me inside the bathroom. I saw so many people inside the bathroom. I was very surprised.
I go ask and say, Mommy, this is your friend, why them come here for night? He can't tell me, say, since when they tell me, say, he was to concern me that day, Martin said a joke.
I saw my bed, which she has prepared with red bed sheets, everything red. The woman who circumcised me also wear a white hand glove on his hand.
They say I should sleep and pull off my clothes.
He said, if you refuse to lie down, we will force you to lie down.
So my dad bring some rope and tied me.
My mother hold me for leg.
It's one fat, mighty woman that will sit on your chest.
Then they close me up for mouth so that people no go hear say they want circumcise.
So the nurse will now bring one small kitchen knife, one short one like this. So that is what she will use to cut up the crippling.
Collected a razor blade from my sister and circumcised me.
My sister then used called me and the thing been pain me. So I do power until I fight with them before they come cut me.
As I was fighting, nearly the half of the bathroom side fell down since I was struggling with the woman. Then I cut my clitoris away. As they cut it, I bleeded.
When they were circumcising me, when I was going through the pains, my mother was there looking at me and I was looking at her.
I asked my mama, say, Mommy, na wetin make you cut me? He say, na their culture. I say, Mama cut her.
What just came inside my mind, I said, may God forgive my parents because they don't know what they are doing.
My mother tell me, say, when they circumcise you, you don't change to woman.
How can they remove this part from my body? They say it's tradition. Which type of tradition?
That night, all of them didn't sleep because I was crying the whole of that night.
Welcome back. After watching the report, what's your first reaction?
My God, I feel pain. I can imagine the pain they are going through.
Those are the experiences of some of the girls who have gone through female genital mutilation. Now, the question I want to ask is, why deprive women from the feeling that they are supposed to have when having sexual intercourse?
Most of them, they believe when they take off the clitoris or when they cut it, they don't go after men. They are preventing them to stay virgin, to get married, and they don't feel they want them to stay. They want them to stick on one man, they don't want them to be jumping from one end to the other, and that's all what I can say.
In a nutshell, are they saying women are promiscuous, or what are we talking about?
They're just, I don't know. I cannot really understand.
Mitch.
Oh, really? It's a difficult something to say. It's just you can't understand because you cannot enter into their mind. See, these are women. Whatever reason they advance, whether it's to prevent women from being promiscuous, to make them faithful, to make them look or to be like virgins when they get married, or to prevent them from having sexual satisfaction, whatever reason they advance. These are not men doing it. These women, it is women that practice female circumcision. So you cannot get into their mind to find out, is it you who is going to benefit from it? Even if at all, you're preventing your daughter from being promiscuous or from making her faithful. Faithful to who? That is the question. Is faithful to who? So what is your interest there? You are not a man. If it were men doing the thing, I would even understand. Oh, is it the men that asked them to do it? Of course not. It's not the women. These girls, these old women grew up knowing that this thing was done to them. And they have pumped it into their minds that it is our culture, as you hear the little girl saying there. The mother said it's their culture, it's their tradition, it's been done like that for generations or for years, so they have to continue perpetrating it. Now the question is, who profits? Because there's always somebody who profits behind something. And it is that person who has an interest. So who is the person interested in this genital mutilation, female genital mutilation?
Can we say like the problem of a woman is a woman? Because these are women that are making young girls to go through pains.
Yeah, I can say the problem of woman is a woman because most of them and the circumcision are women, not men. Might be they have their own objective, and their own objective to a layman view is that they should stay stick as I did, as it's a tradition, as it's culture, we need to maintain it. And let our female girls, they get married still virgins. That's their main objective.
Now if I were to ask you if it was practiced on you or if it was done, just imagine that you were in that living in that village, or you were in that part of the country where this is practiced and it was done, how would you have felt today?
I will feel very bad because of the education that they are giving to us now. It has made things to be open. It has made the world is open. We know already right from wrong, good from bad. So had it been they did it to me today, I would be very, I don't know how I feel.
They need to allow women to have the pleasure they have through sexual intercourse. Now, Mitch, we have young girls getting pregnant today. You are trying the female genital mutilation. You want to stop young girls from having this pleasure of going towards men. They want them to be faithful. But the contrary is today. We have a lot of young girls, 10, 11, 12, who are getting pregnant today. Now, how do you see this? If you have to like link it up to female genital mutilation, what to compare the two?
You see, nature is such that it must follow the procedure, must follow the natural trend. A woman grows up, you get to a certain level, it becomes a natural thing. Childbearing is a natural thing. It's something that the body reacts to. The body demands, the body acts for, because he is evolving, and when it gets to the point where procreation is so natural. So at that point, it just happens. Circumcision or no circumcision, it will happen. So what they were trying to prevent, I don't know whether they understood. At that time, everybody accepted it because when everybody was in the village, nobody was moving from there, and nobody knew the right from wrong. Everybody thought it was normal because it was imposed. I just told you, even the male circumcision, where we are talking to the stand of the world, I mean, the World Health Organization, is male circumcision should be done if medically advised. Even the female genital circumcision, something if the doctors examine because of a problem, a medical problem, and the advice that it should be done, it could be done only when the doctor says so. So it is something that tradition is so embedded and so difficult to remove from the mind. The mindset is so held in captive that if you don't do it, you start feeling, because most of these women at times, they themselves start feeling that they lack something. When they go out amongst their peers, you know, they can even throw slangs at you. Look at you, you also consider yourself as a woman. Because after they used to do it in the village, there used to be a ceremony, and those ones were considered, you know, the top, you know, in the village.
How do you consider the top when you're lacking in something?
No, it is the mind. I just said, if somebody wants to get you, he gets your mind. It's a spell. So they make you see what is wrong as right and what is right as wrong. So they have worked on the mind of people so much. I mean, then, because now things are changing, and they're going to change whether they like it or not, because more people are coming to know, oh, this is not normal. My body. You heard a lady there, she said, I pray that God should forgive my parents. because they were ignorant. I like that. Because if you think about it and know the pain you went through, in fact, you will never even have your heart will never even permit you to say what she has said. Because if you see how somebody can hardly move because of the pain, and they could even see some of their colleagues with whom the things were done that die. So you can imagine how traumatic it was.
So there are lots of disadvantages.
Yeah, a lot of disadvantages. And those disadvantages are this. At times when this happens, some of them will bleed for a very long time. Then others, they will have this,
They have infections.
Infections, because they are using unsterilized items to mutilate them. Then most of them, they will die. Then most of them too, they also...
Childbirth is a problem, because there are women that are being assaulted.
Yes,
and then it's difficult, yeah. So the women had to talk about this. But we sampled the opinion of some women in the northwest region of Cameroon on female genital mutilation, and this is what they had to say. Let's watch.
I believe that it is done in order to maybe restrict. I believe that it is done in order to maybe restrict a woman from flirting, because she will not have that she will not enjoy that sexual pleasure, and she will not have that desire to go out there. I think it is violation of the sexual rights of a woman, and so it should not be practiced. I am against it.
Practice is not good, because it might lead to unproductivity to the woman. Because when you visit the appetite or the sexual appetite of a lady, maybe during the period that she is fertile, she will not have the appetite. At the end, she will be unable to go to bed. Yes.
Mutilation is violation of the sexual rights of a woman. First of all, it is painful and it is violence upon a woman. And then those who
Welcome back. This was the opinion of some women we sampled in the northwest region of Cameroon. And back here in the studio, I'm accompanied by two wonderful women, and they talked about two things: reducing sexual appetite. Do you think that is it?
Yeah. Because what makes you feel when you are having a sexual intercourse? What makes you feel is the clitoris. If it is cut off, you are not more. You don't feel anything. You are just like a block of wood. You just stay there. Everything that you do on you just feel happy. So really, it reduces sexual anxiety.
So that's what makes you to have the anxiety to have a sexual. Barrister, you
see this. You see, at every what you call generation, there are things that go. You know, before it was a dishonor to the family if a girl were to have a child at home. They saw it as big dishonor. You know, some cultures, they kill their own children if he starts having sexual intercourse before marriage. So you dishonor the family. So it is a way that they thought they were going to fight that thing. And at this point in time when we are talking, some people, you might say you want to reduce their libido. You want to reduce a woman's libido, and at times you instead make her crave for it. So we have instead known the contrary effect. That is the opposite effect. Because something that you're craving for, you want, you hear people are saying it. You see, what sexual promiscuity has been born out of this female genital mutilation, because these people thought that by doing that they were going to prevent it instead of it. But we are not saying, you know, sexual promiscuity or sexual liberty should become the order of the day. You see, they were really worried about what sex could do. You see, HIV and all those hepatitis, all these illnesses, it was enough. They feared about what too much sexual activity could cause. It could cause unwanted pregnancy, cause diseases, you carry diseases. It could cause, you know, shame by bringing a child that into the family house when you are not yet married. So you can understand you can understand where they're coming from. But we are saying, when this period, this time has passed, when this how do you call it, we turn the page and move forward, how do we instead educate this child? I'm telling you, Maureen, more women, more girls, unwanted pregnancies occurred now. It's true. There's a lot of sexual promiscuity. It is true. But is that the way we will solve that problem?
That's the question I wanted to ask. Is that the best way? Is that the way to solve the problem of sexual promiscuity on the part of women?
I don't think so. To solve the problem is to do mutilation. It's not. We need to educate our ladies. We need to educate our girl child. We need to give them the best education as a mother, as a parent to them.
By doing what? By doing what and by telling them what?
By talking to them about sexuality. All this what we've been talking about, unwanted pregnancies, diseases, sexually transmissible diseases, you know, and your education being compromised. You know, you put them and you give them examples. You tell them, you see, your action, your body, if your body does not crave, it's a natural thing.
Because their mothers were like so scared to talk to a child about the part of the body, tell the child that this is your vagina, this is how you protect it, this is what you should do. There are women who are so scared saying it to the children.
They're still considered as taboo because they themselves were not taught. But if you cannot do it, we have, there are pediatricians, there are gynecologists, there are medical doctors, there are psychologists, there are social workers who are now involved in these things. You have, how do you call it, setups. People have set up places where they call the Centre des Écoutes, family, how do you call it, centers, family centers, where if you cannot talk to your child,
you take the child,
take your child there. Because all these things are caused by ignorance. Ignorance is the worst disease you can imagine. And the catastrophic effects of ignorance is something that you don't even want to talk about. This thing is caused by ignorance. Yes, they had fears. Their fears were founded. But is that how we should solve the problem? I think the answer is no. How do we go about it? You were not taught it. Now you can look for somebody who can teach your daughter. What is it about the body? They do it in biology, isn't it? Is there any part of your body that is not studied when you do biology?
But most of them, they have not done biology.
No, it is difficult to see somebody, most of what we are talking about, you are not of my generation, you are not of my age. So if I went to school, right in primary school, where we did mother craft, you understand? I'm talking about when I was in primary school, we did mother craft and everything was taught to us. I'm not even talking about biology yet. So it is just that fear that if they don't do it, I mean, those in the villages, most people are living in towns. I think us living in town, I don't think we really have a problem as such. Unfortunately, those who are still living in the villages, they go through it. Conquer the fear. The first thing that somebody does to you is to create fear in you. If you can conquer the fear, said, I don't, nothing is going to happen to me. I will get married, no curse will befall me, because when you don't do it in the village, they believe that you have a curse. There will be something that, or your family will be cursed, or you will not get married or something. It is all nonsense. So people have to understand that it is you who decide what you do with your body. And unfortunately, the girls are very little.
They are very little. That's the question
so they cannot,
because at the age of 5,
where the parents? Where are their parents?
That I refused. I don't want the tradition.
So where are the parents? Where are the target should not be the parents. If they can educate, so long as from maybe like 16 years or 12 years in the primary schools, in the villages, they have head teachers, they have teachers. So if they can make it part of the civic education to tell the child that your body, so that when they get married, because those girls will finally get married, they will have children, and they will be the one to make sure that their children don't go through that.
Now, do you think mothers have a responsibility here? How should they educate their children, and at what age? Because there's a problem with age here too. Because their parents think that the child must be at a certain age before they start talking to the child. Now, at what age? What do you think?
For me, it's at the age of at the age of 2, you can start educating your child. Because if we are here talking about this female circumcision, I believe the most target is their parents.
Because if we can educate the parents today, then obviously the children or the kids, their life will be assured. Then we need to educate them in which terms. We need to sensitize parents. Then we also tell parents that you need to take your child. From day one, you can still start from day one to educate your child. As a baby, yeah. Because if you take a baby, you can train a baby not to even be on even using these napkins. Then from 2, you know that you need to brush. You need to you bring the child, make the child to be your
communication
friend. Yeah, you need to communicate. You need to
dialogue, make the child your best friend, try to make the child know parts of the body, and make the child know that there are certain parts of the body that belongs to you and nobody should temper with it.
Yeah, you need to also tell them this part is like this, is for this, is for this. So you don't need to, you need to do like this, you need to do like that. Then at the age, when a child is reaching like puberty, you need to make that child now your friend. Because if you harsh on that child, the child will be scared, and you hide so many things from you.
All right, now let's get to hear what the men had to say about female genital mutilation. Most of them said they cannot get married to a woman who went through the barbaric practice. Let's watch. We'll be right back.
Well, I think that psychologically will give me a lot of worries, and you know, you cannot get married to somebody who would psychologically not give you what you want, and who you give the person what you want. So it's going to give me a lot of worries, and for that reason, I would think that I need somebody who will be thinking like me, working like me, and having the same ideas like me. And it will be terrible if I wanted to get into that.
Getting married to a woman, it's a complete package that you should be having, which goes to a long way. The initial part of it is that when you have a woman as a companion, you need to consummate the love that you share with your woman. And after mutilation, the package can never be complete. It's as if you're taking part of something and part is still somewhere. Personally, I cannot get married to a lady that has already undergone female genital mutilation, because the very act of sex which unites a man and a husband together will not be enjoyed by both parties. It will be like a product that you are exploiting, which has earlier been exploited or has either expired.
Welcome back. You are watching Turn Up, a live program on Canal The English. We are broadcasting live from Douala, and the topic is female genital mutilation, and I have wonderful guests for you here in the studio. Now, Barrister, do you think the Ministry of Women Empowerment and the Family is doing enough to eradicate the practice?
Well,
do you think in the 21st century we'll still be talking about eradicating female genital mutilation? Every year we say the same thing.
I think they say all habits die hard, and it's going to be a long, long battle for it to be completely eradicated. You know, we're talking about it as an economic activity. I was reading about a program that was organized in Yaoundé, and some women who practice it, they practice these things and they claim that it generates income for them. And if they stop it, what are they going to do for their own livelihood? You see, it's very shocking in the sense that you cannot be, it's very sadistic, because you cannot live on somebody's pain. But then, since that is the case, what do? Can there be something, some other income generating activity that they can be directed towards? Because I see some people like, oh, let's be giving them money. Some people can be giving them 100,000 francs. If you give them 100,000 francs and they think, oh, we could even have 200,000 francs from this thing, they will want 200,000 francs. So it becomes a vicious cycle. We cannot continue doing it. So let us refocus their attention to other income generating activities. I think to me that would be the best. So this habit, as you just asked, it's been long. The tradition has been going on for too long. So the only thing that has to be done now is how do we continue making sure that it gets eradicated. The Ministry of Women's Empowerment is doing a good job, because they've been able to go right into the nooks and crannies, especially where it is practiced. You know, like you go to Kusuri, it's a small portion of the population, but so long as one woman is still suffering from female genital mutilation, we cannot rest until this habit is completely eradicated.
Now, is it possible to end the practice in Cameroon? Is it possible to eradicate it, and how?
It is really possible to eradicate it, because when you want to look on, let's say in the 19th century, the level, the percentage that they were practicing, up to date, it is really reducing. Why? Because of the education they're having. At first, northerners, they were not going to school. Like the Muslim, most of them, they were not going to school. They just consider school like something different. But nowadays, we have offices that are being held by Muslim people. So the rate of ignorance in the Muslim tribes has reduced. So obviously, with time and the education that we're giving to them, because presently they are being called to train most of them like teachers, and as we are training them, they'll go to their various regions and educate those that are still behind, and they'll wake up from their sleep.
Now, Barrister, does the law condemn it?
Of course, seriously, it's a crime. Anybody that tries or attempts even to deprive somebody of a member of any part of his body, in fact, it is a crime and is punishable by the law.
But have we had any person that has been called for practicing this, or subjecting a young girl or young woman go through the barbaric practice?
That is a question. Somebody must lay the complaint. The procureur de la République cannot come in unless somebody denounces it. Even just a person, even if your neighbor and you see or you hear somebody wailing and that it is being done, you can denounce it. You can go to the state council. And then since it's done with the complicity of the parents, because the child herself is a minor, he doesn't know how to go get help, because the parents who should be the ones to defend and protect their children, they are now the accomplices to the act. You know, so how do we solve the problem? When your protector, your defender becomes your mutilator.
All right, so women should denounce the practice, or young girls out there should denounce it?
I mean, anybody who gets to know about this, the crime, about this
it
practice.
Can even be the men, it can be women, anybody in society.
Yes, anybody.
Society.
Yes, anybody.
Yeah, you want to say something else?
Yeah, I want to say that even women, like parents, they are the ones to denounce. Because at times, we saw how they were holding a baby of 5. She's still ignorant, she doesn't know anything. But the people that will eradicate, that will stop this practice, will be the parents, will be the women.
Now, what is your last word you're telling women on this female genital mutilation? What's the last word to women?
To continue telling them that the practice is barbaric and it's very, very uncivilized. So what we need to do is women should understand that we are supposed to be, women are the backbone of the family. We hold the family. These children, we are the ones who carry them for 9 months. And you cannot afford to see your little daughter going through this pain and you are there. When they tell you, take your little daughter, run away with her, go and report, because if it is a husband putting pressure, go and report. Either you go to the nearest...
The women don't want to protect the marriage.
That is the problem. Against whose interest? Against your daughter? You carried the daughter for 9 months, you nurse for 5 years, and somebody has to make her go through pain. Women, you have to sit up and defend these children. And I'm one of those who defend them, because I know what it means, Maureen, carrying for 9 months, 9 months, and bringing a child up to that level where somebody just comes one night and tells you they want to go get this. I know, in fact, I don't want to speak, but just let us know that it is bad. It's a bad practice.
All right, Frida, what's your last word to women out there?
And what I will add to what she has said is, parents, stand and fight for your children. Because this practice has eradicated, it has destroyed so many souls. We can't even count them. Because since I've gone through books, I have not been recording the number of deaths during this. But there are so many girls that have been exposed to so many diseases. Their life, just imagine that a child of 5 or a child of 10 years is having HIV, is having STDs, that she cannot give birth, she cannot live freely. Then others that will even grow up, they will carry pregnancy, but they cannot give birth. normally.
Alright.
They go through pain. So let's help our children. Parents, stand up for us. Fight for our children.
Right. Now, before we go, I want us to talk about the latest publication from Barrister Kowon Patricia. The launch, when is the book launch?
Ndwala is going to be launched on the 5th of March, 2018 at Side Effect, 3 p.m. And in Boya at the Council Hall on the 7th, Wednesday the 7th of March 2018. Note the date, and we're asking you all to come. It's not a difficult book to read. You can just read it within 1 hour, 2 hours, you've read it. And it is going to impact. It is small in the size, but it carries a message that will impact your life, Maureen.
Now, I want to thank you all for honoring our invitation. And to you out there, I want to thank you for watching. Our topic of today was a female genital mutilation. We want women to stand up for the girl children and stop this barbaric practice. Thanks for watching. Till another wonderful same time next week. Goodbye.